I always feel like the manager should not only be the funny one in terms of saying, and I was the funny guy in wrestling, right? I was the one who told all the jokes. Then when all wrestling got funny, I was the only one that got serious. I had to, because before I was the only one doing funny. When everybody did start doing funny, okay, motherfuckers, I'll do serious. But the manager can be the funny one without taking heat off his guys. They're not getting dressed in a dress, I am. They're not getting their head shaved, I am. They're not getting tarred and feathered, I am. So they keep their heat, and they try to save me, and they come back and try to get even, and I'm screaming, God damn, I'm your boss, I pay you, I'll give you any amount of money, kill those motherfuckers did that to me. So you can do stuff to the manager without taking heat off the wrestlers. And in matches, once again at ringside, to close up on your question, if I'm going to interfere in the match, I need to get in and get out. I need to do it behind the referee's back. I never take my eye off the referee, because if the referee sees me, I expect him in an OVW. I tell this, if the referee sees an automatic disqualification, whether it be an over the top rope or a pile driver or somebody interfering, if he don't call it, I'm going to hit the ring and beat his ass, because the referee is the authority. If the people don't believe in the referee, if the people think it's all just bullshit, that's why I couldn't stand that ECW-ish type of thing, and I hate all this modern wrestling where people just come in that are not involved in the match, run in and do shit, and the referee's standing there, and here comes a chair. Why is a chair in the ring? Is it a no DQ match? Well, if it's not a no DQ match, why didn't somebody get disqualified? Because if you don't have any rules, you can't break the rules. If you can't break the rules, you can't get any heat on somebody. Because if there are no rules, you're not a heel for taking a chainsaw and cutting a dog's head off. So that's a manager has to get in and get out and interfere, not be seen by the referee, boom, 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 but not distract from the overall match, augment it. And that's, once again, the pace of some of these matches these days and the way that people come in and out and back and forth. If I'm a first-time viewer, I think every match should be constructed so that a wrestling fan can enjoy it and not only understand it, but understand the subtleties. But a first-time viewer that's just clicking the channels can go, oh, shit. And he knows one guy's trying to beat the other guy. You don't have to explain to him or have graphics on the screen, well, this guy actually is allowed to use a chair because of so-and-so and such and such. And, these people are allowed to run in. And who's responsible for this? What's the referee doing? He's just standing there. I talk to my dentist a lot. My dentist watches our show because he's my dentist, but he's not a huge wrestling fan, so he asks the questions that a lot of casual fans will ask. Well, now wait a minute. Why were those two guys yelling at each other like that, but they didn't fight? Good question. Why didn't they fucking fight that night? Maybe I did it wrong. Anyway.
Okay. Switching over to tag team wrestling now. Is the psychology of tag team wrestling pretty much the same as singles wrestling?
Kind of, sort of, but not really. And once again, now, they're asking me questions here, folks, like I just came down from the Sermon on the Mount with these stone tablets. As Ole Anderson said to me, Cornette, I used to think you were a dumb fuck, but so many other dumb fucks have come along that are worse than you. You moved up the ladder without doing anything. I'm not Eddie Graham. I'm not Bill Watts. I'm not Dusty Rhodes. I'm not Jerry Jarrett. But, geez, since they're not sitting here, I guess I'm the best you got. There are similarities and there are differences. A singles match needs to go more back and forth. You don't get necessarily, because you don't get the pure baby faces using their teamwork to overcome the heels and frustrate them, and then the heels having to resort to these illegal tactics and in and out and back and forth and behind the referee's back. In a singles match, you can't do as much behind the referee's back because there's nobody to distract. Even if there's a manager, still there's nobody on the other side to come in, blah, blah, blah. So it's a little more back and forth, but there's a lot of similarities.
What would you say are some of the most perfect tag teams that you've had a chance to work with, and what made them a perfect tag team?
Obviously we made more money than anybody else with the Rock and Roll Express because they were one of the, except for the Fabulous Ones, and we never worked with the Fabulous Ones, believe it or not. The Midnight Express, when it was Bob Eaton and Dennis Condrey, never worked with the Fabs, and we just never in the same place. But after the Fabs, the Rock and Roll were the first MTV-style babyface team, but whereas the Fabs were more kick-ass guys because they were bigger for the time, and they didn't sell as much, and they were more male modelish. There's Ricky and Robert, who are babyface at the time. I mean, look at the 80s music videos. Ricky and Robert looked like the average guy walking down the street. As ludicrous as it may seem to some people who were born in the 80s, yes, the bandanas and the long hair was over, folks. Watch a Poison video every now and then. Ricky Morton could sell his ass off unlike anybody ever. He could take a classic ass whooping. He could engender sympathy. He could make you believe that he was being tortured. And Robert Gibson, to be honest, was there to take that tag and clean house. It didn't have the same dynamic when you got the heat on Robert and gave the tag to Ricky. Both of them filled their spot perfectly. The Rock and Roll were a great team because of that. They were underdogs. They didn't have to be strong and kick ass and destroy people to get over. They did it because they were likable and they were feisty and they were underdogs. Fantastics, there wasn't, I think actually Bobby and Tommy were more interchangeable in their parts. And it didn't hurt to match because they were both underdogs and there wasn't a real big size difference. But what great workers, what great athletes, and they both could sell. The Southern Boys we had great matches with because Tracy's mother, Steve Armstrong, we got him over in Baltimore. On these the Midnight Express tapes you'll see, and I'm not saying that we're responsible for their success. I'm saying that when you take the Wild Out Southern Boys with stars and bars, Confederate flag on their ass, and waving the flag and send them into Baltimore, that's a recipe for destruction. You know, better you should send, like Louis Farrakhan to a Nazi meeting than send the Wild Out Southern Boys to Baltimore. But the people there believed in the Midnight Express. The Southern Boys were just coming in, and they farted on them. But then all four guys had such a great match that at the end they gave them a standing ovation because they saw they were talented and they could look past the regional gimmick. We had so many good matches with different kinds of tag teams. Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, I wish so much that we'd had a chance to run that thing for 6 months. Because we had maybe, 6 or 7 arena matches with them and nothing on television before they ended up leaving and going to the WWF. But the matches were tear the roof off the place type of matches because it was really 4 excellent workers, doing what they could do. And then me and JJ stand outside going, okay, he had a shoe, I had a tennis racket, and we're watching them. We're having fun too. But there were a lot of teams you could have. One good thing about an old-fashioned, especially an old-fashioned Southern heel team, they could change the kind of match they had and change their style to fit the opponent. We wouldn't have the same match with the Road Warriors as we did with the Rock and Roll Express, as we did with the Fantastics, as we did with the Southern Boys, as we did with Brian Pillman and Z-Man, as we did with Bill Watts and Junkyard Dog, as we did with, whoever. Because the heels, especially in those days, were responsible in a lot of part for leading the match, and the idea was to get the babyface over. Actually get the match over. Dennis Condrey always said this, and you ask him about this, get the match over. Because a lot of guys are just worried about getting their own stuff in and them looking good. Well, you know what? Transfer this to Hollywood. Who's a great actor these days? I'd say Laurence Olivier, and nobody was even born by the time he died if he's dead. Say again now? Leonardo DiCaprio. Is he a great actor or is he just...
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro. There you go. De Niro, Pacino. They've made some really stinky fucking movies. Not a lot, but some. And people remember, well, there was goddamn a stinky fucking movie. But if a great actor is in a great movie and everything gets over, then they start winning Academy Awards. Who's the last person that won an Academy Award for a great performance in a box office stinker? Can you think of any? I can't. I'm not prepared. Point is, get the match over and the people will remember, I saw the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express in a great match. Not, I saw the Midnight Express in a match with, Tom and Bill, and boy, it pretty well fucking sucked, but Midnight Express got their shit in. The fuck? If the match stinks, it don't matter whether you got your shit in or not because it still stunk. And we've had some stinkers because things just didn't line up right, but it wasn't for lack of trying. Get the match over. Don't get your shit in.
Okay. Let's look at gimmick matches. How should a gimmick, like for instance, like a no rope barbed wire match or a steel cage match, how should the gimmick in the match be used to get the most out of using the gimmick?
Well, in a no rope barbed wire match, first thing they need to do is not book me, because
that was, let's say, a bull match. That was a bad example for what
well, no, actually, the first barbed wire matches I ever saw were in like late '79, early '80s in Tennessee. What they would do is they'd leave the ring just like it was, and they would wrap barbed wire around the ring posts. So you could use the whole ring, and then when you grabbed the guy and took him and leaned him out and tried to rub his face in the barbed wire, people went crazy, right? There's barbed wire around the ring post. You've got that far from the barbed wire to the ropes, and then you got all the inside of the ring. But you can't get out. Oh, you try to go out. Oh, shit, I'm going to cut myself. Oh, golly. Oh, jeez. Oh, and a little blood and everything. Now, there's goddamn big old rolls of barbed wire in the fucking ring with no ropes. The barbed wire out on the floor. People being slammed and suplexed into it. People sitting there going, ooh, that was cool. What are they going to do next? People bleeding like they've been run through razor blade factories. Do not demean your gimmicks. Don't cheapen your gimmicks. If you've got a taped fist match, then don't punch the guy 74 fucking times with a taped fist. Wrestle, work, take fist, brass knucks, coal miner's glove, whatever. Wrestle, work, go to do it, guy ducks, can't get a clear shot. Bam! First time he nail him, he's either bleeding or he's goofy or he gets knocked to the floor or whatever. Use your gimmicks. With a coal miner's glove match, which isn't even seen anymore these days. They didn't climb the pole, get the glove with the metal-studded knuckles, and hit the guy 17 fucking times. He should be dead. What is this sledgehammer business, for God's sake? Give me a sledgehammer. Let me hit fucking bad boy down at the gym, 6'9", 330 fucking pounds. Let me give one shot, me, flabby fucking pasty white with a fucking sledgehammer. I'll hit that motherfucker. He's not coming back. He's not coming back. Keep it believable. Use your gimmicks. Don't cheapen your gimmicks. If it's a bull rope match, what's the object? My left wrist to your left wrist. You can't get away from me, I can't get away from you. There's a bell in the middle we can hit each other with. Pull each other around, choke, through the crotch, with the bell, whatever. But the guys now would take the fucking bell and take it off and shove it up the guy's ass and let him fucking run around the ring tingling fucking jingle bells. And that'd be for a goddamn high spot. That wouldn't even be the finish. Give me some more matches.
Dog collar.
Dog collar. Say what now?
Lumberjack match. Dog collar.
Lumberjack match. Lumberjack match. The object of the lumberjack match is that everybody's around the ring because these two guys have a grudge, and one of them is going to bail. We know it. That heel's going to bail unless all those guys are there to throw him back in. But is it fair if only one guy's friends are there? So you bring everybody's friends. So now, once again, if you have a lumberjack match and the first time somebody takes a bump out on the floor, immediately every lumberjack comes over there and gets in a goddamn big Hey Rube, a big Donnybrook, everybody's punching, beating everybody. You've seen it.